from plenty people them we say that they follow the case. Now that LAJ been there in critical condition, and the government decide or the police decide for care and go to 34 hospital. I will just want for check whether or not that true. If you be able to go 34 and see you picking there, or you be there 34, but also you not get access to them.
I still not get access to me picking up till now. I don't go. It's a 2 term. I ride a bike. I go up the hill. The other day, I mean, they soak. By the everywhere, I hear some announcements say, it in critical condition, then give number plates always, send and go to the hospital. Then I make sure I go there, I talk to some officers. Most of them, they are my friends. But then go search all, they say they don't see, and they don't locate them. They don't locate them at the place. So I still they look, I come back, I sit down back, people they call me up on call, say, you picking there in critical condition. Where they hear this, I feel, I don't know how they feel. I know they feel good. It don't keep me like me 10 days or 11 days today. I know able to eat. I know able to get food taste in my mouth.
It bring you any form of relief, say, okay, let no stress myself. Now the police don't pull statements, say, we get LAJ, it deal with we. And the only thing we do, we people they say, oh, we don't inject her with red liquid. That they not so true. But yes, not true. So we don't creep a common aid. And for them, that is not the common practice, not the standard that they would then do to people with all that particular facility. They would call Benghazi.
Okay, the Benghazi, me I think I've been pull me picking name na do. I pull 2 cow, a creeping head. That's enough. This na I don't know how to call it. I mean, I don't know how I for call this. Now, in likeness. Who great grandpa been get dread. Now, full boy get dread. We be make us common handsome. So if you heritage this thing, you take them. I know they against that. I know they against that. But I want seeing dread to return back. Usai minde. Me na me born. If I know they against that, why then for they against that? As I repeat back, I don't pull on a door with 2 cows.
Yeah, we don't creep in your dome.
They don't creep in here the first 7 days. Why somebody else for do that for me? But I want, at least even then don't cut them. I want to see me picking.
Okay.
Now the request to the wall, I want to see me picking. Definitely.
Okay.
I want to see me picking.
All right. Continue for stay with we. Paba. Let me quickly welcome Rashid Dumbuya, the Executive Director for Legal Link. Good evening and welcome to YVM Sunday, Rashid.
Thanks for having me. I'm grateful.
All right.
I'm sorry for coming a little bit late.
Right. let me quickly bring in Mara. Of course, you've listened to the submission of the father of LAJ, that he has made several attempts. He's gone to the place on several occasions, seeking or requesting that he sees his son, but that has not happened. He has not gotten the chance, and now he's getting different stories about his son being injected with an unknown liquid, the dreadlocks being cut off, and the son being in critical condition and taken to 34 military hospital. He's also gone there on several occasions, but no access. First off, why does this put the police now coming out saying, you know what, cutting off the dreadlocks or cutting the hair is part of our standard operating procedure? But LAJ has been, on several occasions, he has been incarcerated at that very OSD facility, fondly known as Benghazi, and he has always come out with the dreadlocks on.
I think, Samuel, to be honest with you, I'm deeply moved by the account of LAJ's dad. I'm a, father myself.
Right.
I am appalled. I mean, when he was narrating the many efforts he's made to access his son, the only thing that came to mind was, you remember the AFRC period.
Yeah.
I thought we were living under a junta rulership. This is what happens when a junta rules. but we're living under a president that was democratically elected by the popular vote. And I have no doubt that the presidency that campaigned on a new direction mantra would do better. I mean, I saw the piece from the Sierra Leone police. I have had many issues with the Sierra Leone police. I mean, up to the point that I took the Inspector General of Police to the Supreme Court. You know, when he banned vehicular movement, and then we had a judgment in my favor to say the police did not have such powers. And the Supreme Court went to town in terms of what the powers of the police are. They are circumscribed by the Constitution of Sierra Leone. We're living in a democracy. Even if, God forbid, Mr. X were to stab and murder or kill someone, Mr. Y, Mr. X has every right under the sun to legal representation, to visit by family. That's a basic fundamental right in a democracy. And we must not let go of these basic tenets of democracy. So I'm still appalled that after the statement, the father has gone there with several lawyers, I am told. I've spoken to one of the lawyers, Madiu Sise, and he still cannot access his son. We all should be appalled. We all should be appalled. Let's give the police the benefit of the doubt about the shaving of the hair, etc., etc. The first point should be, whenever a man stands, is being investigated for any crime under the sun, even if it's treason, you have a right to family visit, you have a right to access by a lawyer. I mean, the Bar Association has put out a notice in no very clear terms that is unconstitutional. Right? For me, I feel very sorry for a father who has made several efforts to visit his son wherever he's been held in a democracy, and he cannot access his son for 10 full days. We all should be worried. Because on any day, Mr. Rashid Umuya's ear will be whisked away, held somewhere, and his lawyers cannot access him. We should not be having these conversations in a democracy. I can understand during the FRC period. I can understand during those military regimes. But in a democracy, whatever crime is committed, I mean, I do not hold brief for LAJ. It's not my client. I am saying whatever crime somebody is being investigated for, not even being prosecuted, just being investigated. Because at the end of the day, a legal advice will come from the law officers department to say, no, you cannot charge him for robbery with violence. As a matter of fact, maybe it's a lesser, maybe it's a misdemeanor. But now you're treating somebody who's been investigated as if he were a full-blown criminal, as if he has been convicted by the High Court of Sierra Leone. And that should not happen. We should not have these conversations in a democracy. I mean, I have tweeted about this, that there is no right. I would challenge the Sierra Leone police on this. There is no right under the sun. Even if you were to have a documented standard operating procedures, those procedures must conform to the law. They cannot transgress the laws. Once they transgress the laws, they are unconstitutional, they are illegal, they are unlawful. And what they have done, if it is proven to be true, what they have done against the young man, shaving off his hair even before prosecuting him, is an affront to every one of us. And it's a substantial undermining of his constitutional rights. And I think today we should not be having this conversation. Today we should not, right? It should have adequate access. His lawyers should have access to him, his parents, his friends, whoever. I mean, the visit can be regulated, but his family must access him. And we should not have this conversation in a democracy.
All right. Let me quickly get a precursory remark from Rashid Doumbouya on the things that are out to the public already. The shaving of his LAJ's dreadlocks, and of course being one of the SOPs of the OSD, the allegation of him being injected with a liquid, which the police has come out saying, no, we've not done that, and this is where we are.
Yes, I'm grateful, AYB, for the invitation, and it appears as if we. So I was going to ask, where are these? Was there any invitation from the police? I don't know.
Yeah,
Obvious.
We'll come to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's better for them to also be here so that we can have a conversation, because some of these things, you know, and it speaks volumes, because I was my commissioner, and we had a lot of trainings for these guys, and so it's not really about lack of knowledge. You know, I want to argue. This is something that every day because the LUCs, for what we did in that training, we targeted the LUCs, so the commanders themselves, you know, and we open them up to some of these issues on use of force, arresting some of the Luanda guidelines. So there is actually a document which they ought to know on pre-trial detention, the things you should do and don't do to suspects. All right, the lower guidelines. So it's something that we open them up to the Human Rights Commission, train them on this. You know, when you, and our constitution, like Malane Senior is saying here, it's there, 17(2) of the constitution. The basic tenets when you arrest someone, they must have access to a lawyer. You know, so that's why I read the bar association process. I was so thrilled because I was reading there. I said, praise God, this is what we are yearning for. Nobody's saying, let's do X, Y, Z. No. I mean, at the very least, all lawyers must shout hard and be angry with any system, APC, SLP, NGC, that deprives access to a legal representative for any suspect or accused person at the very least. If we see any government do that, we must shout at that government and be angry with them. Because we are the saviors, let me put it that way, of humanity. So whenever they are going through any pain, a lawyer must be allowed. This is a basic universal tenet. For this man to be in custody up to 10 days, I learned, not having access to a lawyer, this is a travesty. So we don't want to start even discussing some of these things as if they know what they are doing. And this is wrong. And so we have escalated, and I'm happy the bar association also came along. That, in fact, we are taking this fight now beyond just LAJ to Benghazi. Benghazi must be demolished. Whatever they call his name, whatever his name, that place must be demolished. We do have Benghazi, it's Libya. Libya is a terrorist place. This is not a terrorist place. So whatever is happening in Benghazi, I'm happy the bar association has called on the IPCB to do the investigation. If they fail, let me make it very clear, if they fail to do an investigation, my organization, Legal Link, will write so three places: the Human Rights Council, the ICC, and then, of course, the treaty body on the CAT Convention, the Convention Against Torture. Let's see what will happen. And let them just play with this and see the trouble that Sierra Leone will go through. Because they will have to investigate Benghazi. We learned many things have happened in Benghazi. Many things. Many torture. And torture is one offense that is ega omis under international law. It is a non-derogable right. The right of freedom of torture. You cannot torture anybody under any circumstances. That's what the universal, you know, I mean, the international law experts have said. And they have jurisprudence on this. Nobody can torture anybody. So what is happening now? It's degrading, it's a torture, and it's amount to inhumane treatment and a violation of Section 21 of our Constitution. Even our Constitution says nobody should be tortured or put into degrading or inhumane treatment. How can we have an SOP that allows people to be shamed suspects, not even convicts, suspects? We don't even know if they're going to be free tomorrow. And then you can't give back the hair of this young man. So look at what the father is going through. I'm always in tears like my senior is. We are in pains at the very least. This father doesn't need to go through this at this stage. At the very least, now in fact, the other day I was even thinking, what is LAJ eating? Yeah. You see, these things we are playing with these things because as I speak, it's possible he doesn't even trust them anymore. I may not be taking food from them. So where is he getting food? Where is he getting water to drink? These are all the things we're talking about. If they can do this to you, you cannot even trust them to give you anything to eat. You want the food from your family members or from your lawyer. See now? So even when we're talking now, we don't even know about his health condition. What will he be eating? Who is giving him food? At the very least.
Yes.
I just wanted to come in because I think he also mentioned that he took the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone to Benghazi for access. Can you imagine a whole state institution that writes on behalf of Sierra Leone, that records the human rights situation, that presents a report before the International Forum on the state of human rights? Can you imagine a whole institution being denied by the Sierra Leone police? I think there's a lot more to this. And I think that I know that there's a police council, and I know that the vice president of the republic sits on that council as the head. And I think there ought to be some urgent measures taken. Because if a man is held 10 days, if a man has been said to be, he has been shaved off, it means that man, like Rashid mentioned, I mean, there's every likelihood that he's not having adequate food. I mean, it's not being taken care of properly in those conditions. So it behoves the police to act right for once. And we're not talking about, we're talking about a very popular citizen, you know. We're not talking about someone who is not known. If they could do this to somebody who's very famous, popular person, imagine the number of things that they are doing at Benghazi for those unknown citizens, the poor and the trodden, the oppressed in our society. And I think that every effort must be made by civil society organizations to ensure that we do not in a democracy experience torture in any detention facility. He's made the point that torture, the protection against torture is non-derogable. It means that even if it were an emergency situation, you cannot torture. Even if you declare a state of emergency, you cannot torture anyone. So imagine that we were not in any state of emergency, we're not in any military interregnum or anything of the sort. This man has to be protected under the law, and the police must ensure that the right things are being done very, very promptly. You know, I'm not comforted by the press release because it doesn't say now going forward would ensure that he has access to legal representation, would ensure that he would have access, you know, by family visits, etc., etc. We have not had that. It's just a disputing of the rumor that he was injected, but confirmation of the other rumor that in fact his hair has been shaved.
You know, Rashid mentioned that they've trained the police officers, and you've also mentioned that this is something they must never do. And so, as when the rumor was out about his dreadlocks being cut off, we engaged one of the spokesperson for the Sierra Leone Police, the assistant spokesman of the Sierra Leone Police, Superintendent Samuel Sao Conte, and in one of our programs, and this is exactly what he said to us. And then after this interview, then we'll come and talk about why the police is conspicuously absent here this evening.
I just want to live my life, oh yeah, na na na.
With somebody in own dread or natural, something we get say no. And this one not to think say what you think. No policeman no go do that one day.
Okay, so that in the practice, no policeman no go do am. So let ask now, they don't do am or they not do am. Not to whether the policeman go do or they not go do am. They don't do am or they not do am.
Come again?
They don't creep in aid or they're not creeping in, because the thing now is we know say policeman they not for do am according to your own submission. Now we want for know whether or not they don't violate their own code, the law, for forcefully creep in dreadnought aid and inject out the chemical. Then do am or they not do am.
fair enough, LAJ in our custody. And the issue of let them keep it or for let the use chemical or the inject them with chemical. That one day, of course, I know say we police they not go do that.
All right, Superintendent Sayu, the question is, as LA is in your custody at the moment, does he have a bald head?
If he has what? Come again.
If you get too long, forgive me. But the question is, again, you don't make it very clear. Say no policeman don't get the right for creep in aid to look. But the allegation now that they don't creep the Yakomona in aid, and they also go for further for inject them with a chemical. They don't do them here. We know so many police not for do them. So we ask now, the police them do them. You don't confirm say LAJ then on a custody right now with Tulum, and you go there with dread and on eject them. That's the that's the question.
Yeah, but I tell you, Samuel White, and of course Antonia say the aspect of detaining.
It's interesting. So that was the interview we had with Superintendent Samuel Sayo-Conte, the deputy spokesman of the Sierra Police, when the rumor was out about his dreadlocks being cut off, and he said categorically that no police officer would do that because it's against even the very code. But now the same police is saying, come on now, this is part of our standard operating procedure. Where do we start? And by the way, we tried all we could to get the Sierra Police represented here tonight. But unfortunately, none of them was willing to come out or say anything. Some of them told me personally that, I mean, the situation is dicey, so they would not want to put their family names to all of these things. I mean, it's a bit crazy right now. So, but where do we stand? Listen, this is no policeman for the idea against any police will do it means say don't violate your own code. But now, but this is not common thing, a part of the standard operating procedure. Where do we stand with the police on this?
I have to be very blunt. I think we're also dealing with an issue of dishonesty within the leadership of the Sierra Police. Because this is no junior officer, this is no ordinary officer. It's a deputy spokesperson of the Sierra Police who was said on a public broadcaster that, I mean, that is against their code. I have never been told about standard operating procedure that includes the shaving of a suspect's hair. I have never been told. You know, I've spoken to lawyers who are more than 20 years in practice. They have said to me that they have never experienced such acts. Right? So it's very clear that that standard operating procedure, if it exists, does not include the removal of one's hair before prosecution. I have never seen it. And many lawyers have confirmed the bar situation is out. So I think we're dealing with an issue of honesty. The police has to be honest for once. If you are the protector of the lives and properties of the citizens of Sierra Leone, there should not be a bankruptcy of trust. There should be adequate trust. If the police has done something that is borrowing the famous word, you know, around egregious, they must come out to say something has been done that has that is improper, that is unlawful. We are investigating those who did the act. The deputy spokesman was very, very clear that is against our code. I mean, if there were any standard procedure, standard operating procedure, he could have said that during that interview to say, I know of a standard operating procedure that is normally not used, but I think in this case it might have been used, etc., etc. He was very categorical in denying and disputing the fact that LAJ's dreadlocks have been cut off. It was very categorical. And so once you have a statement signed, I think by the media person, I'm not sure, signed by the leadership of the police, you have an interview by the deputy spokesman of the Sierra Leone police saying one thing and then the press release saying something completely different. It sends a message that we have a trust issue with the Sierra Leone police. Right? We understand that even the best of police force across the world, they usually would fall foul of the law. They would come out to accept responsibility to say, some of our men, they were very excited, etc., etc. They did something that was improper. We are investigating those personnel. But nobody has come forward in that press release to say that this is improper. Because what they did in that press release was to justify the act. And once you justify the act, you excuse the wrong. And once you excuse the wrong, you in a way entrench that practice. And I think it's it explains why you would not have any representative from the Sierra Leone police, because it seems that they are not singing from the same hymn book, apparently. And at the end of the day, when these things happen, it means that somebody is on the receiving end of these wrongs, right? And we can understand if a private citizen would, wrongs another private citizen. It's a different ball game when an institution that is mandated by the laws of this country to protect people's lives, to protect your bodily integrity, to protect your health, your safety, etc., etc. When that institution converts itself into a perpetrator, then it becomes worrying. Because at the end of the day, we would not know what are the other clauses in these standard operating procedures. They might include even shaving off your nails, for example. They might include shaving off it could be something ridiculous. We have not seen these standard operating procedures. My learned friend, Mr. Dumbea, was a commissioner of the Human Rights Commission. I am sure he did not for once come across those standard operating procedures. So this is entirely new to us lawyers who, prosecute cases in court, who defend accused persons. We have not seen that. So imagine ordinary Sierra Leoneans. So I think this is beyond just this issue of LAJ. I think there's also an issue of trust within the Sierra Leone police, because apparently it means that they are not speaking the same language. One person who's authorized to speak on behalf of the Sierra Leone police is saying one thing, and then the leadership is saying something completely different. It means that the Sierra Leone police would fast lose trust. And once that happens, it means that private citizens, ordinary folks, would then resort to something really, really untoward. And we do not want that. We want a police force that responds to whether it's commission of crime, etc., and make sure that if there is anything that has been done that is improper, they're humans too. They could make mistakes. Let them come out, admit to the fault, and tell us that the particular act is being investigated. We would be comforted, because at the end of the day, we know that these perpetrators will be brought to the book.
Right.
But if that does not occur, if it's justification upon justification, it would then add, and then it would embolden other police officers, not just at Benghazi now, it could be at Lumley, at Congo Cross, or at Kisi, wherever, to say we're adopting these standard operating procedures.
As we talk about this, I saw on social media, somebody was taking a photo from Guinea where a soldier shaved off the ear of a student. But the person did not follow the story to tell us that that soldier was dismissed and sent to jail by the current by the current head of state under the regime they have at the moment. So the person did not follow the story. The person just purported that, oh, but look, if soldier man they go krepiki at school, but he failed for tell now say where he do that day, Mamadi Dumbuya dismissed and sent the officer to jail. But with all of that, and what's the deputy spokesperson of the police mentioned, and what the police put out again? I mean, the contradictions of where does that put the issue of trust now? For many people, they will not trust the police, and already the father is saying, "I don't know if me picking even a kidnap him because I've not had access to him. We've gone several times to the place we not see her." So, where does that put? This issue?
Yeah, Samuel, I think. I don't want to mince my words, but our police lacks professionalism. That is, I'm a former human commissioner. That is just how I will describe the situation.
Right.
Now, but let me just ease you on what Amara said earlier about the acquiescence on the top management. And in fact, let me make them know, I hope they are listening, that acquiescence will put them into trouble. Because under the principle of command responsibility, when your subordinates act otherwise, when you knew or you ought to know and you fail to take steps to either correct the wrong or hold them to account, then you have fulfilled the principle of command responsibility. You will be held culpable for the act and omission of those subordinates. So what they don't understand is international law is all over the place now. So when they come to investigate, they will ask, so what did you do in the circumstances to hold them to account? Nothing. So the acquiescence and the justification, because to me, yes, he's a junior man in a way, spokesman number 2, but he said the right thing. I mean, let's give him the
in fact, I'm told yes. He's been asked not to ever comment.
No, I know he'll be
on behalf of the police.
He might be disciplined. we know how we do things in Sierra Leone. He might discipline him, but he was saying the right thing. It's not expected of them. Now let's go to the SOP. This SOP that they're saying, and we are going to ask for it. All right? No, we are going to write them to give us the SOP. Because we have a right to access permission law that demands all these things to be public. Now, let's put the SOP for once under the tests of international, regional, and domestic law. Because this is a legal issue, and SOP is a policy framework. Now, that SOP we have seen carries 2 characteristics. One, it allows for the shaving of the head of suspects, all of them that are kept. In fact, they call the place holding center. This thing refusing to tell us this place, a holding center. So now we have a holding center other than the police station or CID. This is madness in a democracy. They will tell us the holding center. We know it's Benghazi. We know it's the OSD headquarters, but they are refusing to tell us. So now that's one. Secondly, so in that holding center, they must scrape your hair. They must get you back, cut your hair cut. Secondly, in that center, according to the SOP, you must not be allowed to have access to a lawyer or your family members. Now, this is the SOP and the characteristics. Now, let's judge that in line with international law. The CAT Convention, the UN Convention Against Torture, does not in any way make room for torture to happen in any circumstances, like, of course, the human rights law has said. Secondly, the ICCPR, of course, abhors inhumane and degrading treatment. We are a party to these conventions. We come back to the regional, frameworks. So we have the African Charter of Human Rights, decrying also issues of inhumane and degrading treatment. Now come back to Sierra Leone. Our constitution, section 20, subsection 1, says no one shall be subject to torture or inhumane and degrading treatment. So when we judge the SOP in the light of international, regional, and domestic law, it's nowhere to be seen. It's a non-starter, all right? It's a travesty. So what we're saying here, Sierra Leone is a democracy, and I'm happy my learned senior emphasized this, because people are still thinking that we are an autocratic state or we are a police state, where the rule of law is just for few circumstances where people are above the law, people are under the law. No, we are all equal before the law. Equality before the law is key, and no one should be above the law. So the law is the constitution. What is it saying regarding arrests and detention of suspects? It is very clear. 17, 1, 2, and 3 tells you how the police should operate. So if they say they have an SOP that one denies us knowing the place where they hold people, they call it the holding center. Secondly, that when you get there, that's your head will be shaved also. Third, you will not have access to a lawyer and even your family members. Then that SOP, at the very least, we are going to challenge that going forward because it's not in tandem with the Constitution. It's not in tandem with general law.
What if the police, I mean, the police comes out now and say, come on, the SOP is a classified document. We cannot let that out. And besides, the right to access information gives provision, for classified information not to be disclosed.
Yes. So here is the mockery. If you're saying this is the instrument you use to now determine all of what's happening to suspect, why you have to let us know? Because everybody can be a potential suspect. So now we now know, and we now be prepared when people are taken to that holy center. We now know, hey, just expect your head to be shaved. And here is the mockery about everything. Somebody was asking me that, it's okay, what about women? All right? Or what about LAJ? Because we know he has been there for over 5 times. So what's the problem with the consistency?
Or maybe the police only, is deciding now to use the SOP.
Okay, so it's now
maybe they've been magnanimous enough.
Yes, now they want to apply the SOP. No problem. But here is the danger that we ought to decry and watch over. We are laying a bad precedent. And to me, that is the fear. So yesterday, I make a call to my colleagues at the bar. I said, you know why we have a duty to come and speak out against any government, SLP, APC, NGC, whoever is on the throne, is because we don't want them to lay bad precedent. They will come back and haunt people. Tomorrow it might be another musician, if the government change. That's what they did to our musician, we'll go to do to the other. So that's the danger we are laying here. And they use the same SOP and say, no, there was an SOP that was applied. So we are applying it.
Others were also arrested together.
To happen.
Others were arrested when some made attempts to go visit LAJ. They were arrested, and some are still there with him. I'm told the elder brother. I'm told the elder brother of LAJ, who is said to pioneer this, young people power movement, is also been arrested when he visited his brother. But others were freed. The likes of Star Z, who went there and later. Exactly. They were freed. So what's the problem with holding these guys and not granting them bail? Though the police is saying, of course, we are aware, they have to be with us for at most, especially LAJ, he has to be with us for at most 10 days. Okay. And today, I think, is the 8th day, because he was arrested last Sunday, the 12th, okay. I'm told.
Now, no problem. But what is striking is, why are you not coming forth to allowing, at the very least, the lawyer have access to the suspect? That's one. Secondly, the family members. So nobody is saying constitutionally you cannot keep him there up to 10 days. All right? Yeah. If you think you are still investigating. But at the very least, let humanity be seen. The father, the mother, the brothers and sisters can visit, on a regulated basis, no problem. But the lawyer also should have access. And we should now know what is happening with him. He has to eat, he has to drink. He may not necessarily want your water or want your food because of what he has gone through. He may desire the food from the father. All right, to have access to, give access to these people at the very least as you do your investigation. And then become open. Take a press conference. Tell us about what's happening with him. It should not be an issue. So here is what we are saying. Because I know many people are misconstruing us now. We are not here to come and say LAJ doesn't have some excesses. That's what we are saying here. Or it was wrong for the police to arrest him. No. It is well within the competence of the police to arrest anyone they deem riotous or is in breach of public order of the peace. But then when you so do, you have to also respect his rights as a suspect and then treat him in a humane way so that at the very least you're not seen to be holding him, because you want to deal with him for other unrelated reasons. So that is what we're saying here. Nobody is tampering with your rights to arrest. Or when you so do, according to the Rwanda guidelines, you must not violate his rights as a suspect. So the issue here is about his rights as a suspect. And rights can, we can talk about rights to everyone. So if you are there, you don't like LAJ, it's irrelevant to the discussion. All right? Is he a human being? Yes, he's a human being. Then he has right to enjoy fundamental human rights. And these rights are universal to everyone. The other day you saw us fighting for Blacker. Blacker, we call him a madman.
Yeah.
He has rights. Disabled has rights. So it's not about his musical, you might not like his musician attitude or behavior, it's irrelevant. We as human experts here are saying these rights not to be tortured and treated in an inhumane and degrading way. That's what we are fighting for. All right, to respect that right.
All right. Let me quickly bring this back. I mean, for those of you asking me to open lines and all of that, I won't. For obvious reasons, please. I know what is happening right now across, but I won't do that. I'm sorry. Even the messages you've sent, I mean, close to 1,000 now, I would have to go through and see which ones I would read out to the public. At the end of the day, we still have to keep our peace and ensure that we allow the law to take its course. Baba, let me ask this question. You also talk about they arrest you, LAJ and Big Brother. And what's not the reason? The police? Yes.
In custody
right now.
Keep the head all back.
What's not the reason we didn't go for arrest Big Brother?
And called for court on Tuesday, or I think on Wednesday. You can't call. They take 3 o'clock. See court, like court where they call. They're not being in camp. LAJ brother go Ishmael. He go ask, say, we don't wait sitting now. The court will not see nobody. What's in the happen? He say, fuck off now. Now that the policeman, first way approach I use, say clear out now. Now he turn, say, when I fuck off then now. He say, look, fuck off me, but let I know about my brother, let see me brother. That time nobody no get access for see LAJ still. In the Ishmael self, you know see LAJ. Right? Now they can pump tear gas on people, scatter the whole crowd. Catch about 12, like I think then 12. Put them all inside, create them. Woman, they all be there inside. Come guard them all, we been get baby na them when they come out. 6 months, 4 months, 3 months picking them. Then put them all inside, punish them, do them the same how they do to LAJ. The only thing, I think they not stab them one another, but the way they explain, come on, it's too sorrowful because when they come Friday, na court.
Yeah.
Where every magistrate, I think, pull out.
Yeah, we saw pictures of
all the courts empty. Nobody knows sit down. Nobody knows sit that day. So through that, why is it then they just they increase numbers? Pick up, then they bring camp van, then they bring people and drop. Then they supply. Then supporters stand on the street behind to that new petrol station, something like. I think the police then get calls for cross the street, go and try for drive them out. I say, oh. These people want to make a riot, then give me trouble. Take me time with 2 people then back. We'll join the police then and stop everybody. I prayed, I asked everybody to cool down. Everybody calm down. They say, once like that, we don't forget. They all don't cross over the street. But what the police then they do, any bike they pass, then they make us so back, they all they for don't take them, go inside and talk. Right? So this is very terrible anyway, the way I see the police themselves they behave. But what they ask is, kindly, they didn't give me picking in the I want her. I want her. By all means possible, I want her. Then, if they delay for make her see me picking like tomorrow morning or today, this night, anything happen, I don't want to let them blame me. Because people, they call me all over. People, they come up from upline, they come up everywhere in the country. They come down, they say they can't demonstrate. I say, no. I feel say today the police and go cooperate, let's see me pick. I can't do twice. A woman, LAJ woman can't do twice. In 3 times, They no get access. He bring food, come, but we no go eat the food. Because as the girl, they come with empty, the rubber, then we can go, they plate them. He say yes. I say, you know, if I eat them, or now somebody else eat and they bring the pan, all this, they get all that strategy. Woman then grab with uniform and talk to me, bell me. I say, look, the only thing I need, let me see me picking far end. I mean, until I say they be in compound, because I'm not, let me see me picking. Or go learn on phone, they call me, look me number, give somebody me number. I say, they call me now, you give me picking invoice. They reject. They refuse all the categorically, the toxic, the panody, this way they give you this thing. But made the turn anyway. Made the turn.
Just relax, please. Take water, relax. Lawyer Mal, let me finish. Go ahead, if you can.
This man, I don't see him. We are kind of I think that bien.
All right, welcome back. The show is still AYV on Sunday. I still have with us, I still have with me in the studio the father of LAJ, Ibrahim Ba. I have with me lawyer Augustine Soisembe Mara and of course lawyer Rashid Dumbuya. We still look forward to receiving the president of All Stars, Collabo, if at all he makes it. Papa, you may talk literally. What do you want now?
Let him show me my Peking. Now get it dread. Let me know. Let me get me Peking back. I take him to the hospital for check the kind thing. Where I say, until me not see, why I say they inject him and take him go out and see that immediate. Because if me Peking die, a different issue go happen. So I don't want to let this thing happen. All right. So the dread they didn't give me him. Then show me say I want to get me Peking out of this thing. Then I want to take him out now. I don't know who that go responsible. If Nami go responsible, I ready for take any sign at the wall for medical. But I want to go check him. Which kind thing they get him now in body. Because I know people say they right. Not of veterinaries them. I think they mean at the police station. I don't think it's in a police station in fact. Down in a cave. Because I don't go there one time back. Then show me say 4 days and in the day. We been there. 4 days and get. But I know they not take him. And in a big rebel, we kill. This I know you say kill. So at the request for see me picking, not at the request back for see me picking. But I know see him really with the people they ask me that for me there, I go make me angry. All right? And at that time I want to escalate. Because everybody look, not only me, the people where they are abroad, everybody you talk to them people and say let them prepare for riot. And me not ready for that happen. If not only Salon no more, but all over the world, everybody they try to say, we don't ask who mommy, who our brother, who could they everybody come on at it. So if that happens, then go to blame for me back, saying I me they cause all this. I'm not, me not to treat now, not to treat a day. I don't know what's in the past not treat. Became me a big person that in the village. So me picking there, I want to see me picking them. The one I don't see them, but LAJ, if they not see me, if they not show me and today, this Sunday, anything happen, let nobody not blame me.
What?
The dread I want by all means possible.
I'm sure.
I don't pull and I do. I don't talk. I don't pull and I don't keep it. Now 2 car pull for keeping it. And anybody mistake touch that here, they say 9 that. But I want her.
All right, I'm sure the authorities are listening, and but like you mentioned, this shouldn't be a problem at all for the police to give access to, I mean, his dad, his lawyers. I mean, let them go. It's just standard operating procedure, should I say? I mean, they must have access to him. So. And you look at LAJ, I mean, like Rashid mentioned, we're not discussing whether or not he should be arrested or he should not be arrested, or whether or not he's guilty or not guilty. That is for the courts. But what we're just saying, LAJ is one of the most loved, I mean, musicians. He has the following, if not, I mean, the most loved currently. And even sometimes when he's incarcerated and released, you see the bike riders, all of them behind him rallying, showing support and all of that. And so now, if these set of people who are always considered to be troublemakers in society are now saying, we go, Lord, show them, say, we really need for. We say get power for make them understand, say, waiting and do not fine. Then where is this leading?
You know, Samuel, I think for me, the more fundamental aspect of this is this whole Benghazi and the sort of things that are happening at Benghazi.
Right.
It should be very worrying to all of us. And I think that the police should be, I mean, called out immediately because he mentioned about the elder brother who went there and he was, you know, there was unpleasant words used against him. And several other people were arrested.
Right.
I mean, there's been a lot of, after the war, there were a number of police reforms. We had Kate Biddle, who came in, trained the Sierra Leone police. The white, I think he's a British, you know, came in, trained the Sierra Leone police. We thought that we would not be on TV speaking about the police. Holding,
so I think, just forgive me, I'll have to hold you there. Let's quickly take a break and we'll take a song, one of the songs by LAJ, Freedom, and then we'll be right back.
I just wanna live my life, oh yeah, I need my freedom, no network, I just want me freedom, freedom for do what you want for do. I just want me freedom, freedom for say what you want for say. I just want me freedom. Oh, I need my space. I just want me freedom from the one with the heads. I just want me freedom. They gonna beg me, they beg. I just want me freedom, 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 freedom for do what you want for do. I just want me freedom, freedom for say what you want for say. I just want me freedom. Oh, I need my space. I just want me freedom from the one with the heads. I just want me freedom. They gonna beg me, they beg. I just want me freedom.
See, I wanna be free from the world. I wanna be free from the hits, the lies, the una all. And I want to be free from the law. I want to be the best, the highest, and I top on all. Man, they want chase me, but they beat strong. The one we want hits, we no go live long. Take cat house, RFM, LA. No network for the one, no
Say what the youths man in fact they send a LA. Where they take net truth, you don't send a LA. Where I change salon music, you not send a LA. Where I make red sell, you not send a LA. What this world is coming to, what direction we're going to, what this world is coming to. At the big go, I just want me freedom, freedom for the words you want for do. I just want me freedom, freedom for the words you want for say. I just want me freedom.
Oh, I need my space.
I just want me freedom
from the one with the heads.
I just want me freedom.
They gonna beg me, they beg.
I just want me freedom, 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 freedom for the words you want for do. I just want me freedom, freedom for the words you want for say. I just want me freedom.
Oh, I need my space.
I just want me freedom
from the one with the heads.
I just want me freedom.
They gonna beg me, they beg.
I just want me freedom.
tomorrow. Left, right, talk till you know. The rapper them gone, I make them so. Pure lyrics, then put beside this, so I took over like AFRC. I like you rap tete, not to for me, huh? Man, I need 3D for see me clearly. I like you use the robbery, you not go able to chase me. I know gospel for rap, I born with time. I look like they say, I born me time. I'm the hip hop best with different pattern. I can get what you get, one I mean, no one time. I need my freedom like Sarafina. I'm on to the next one, no get time for una. You can tell that I'm progressing. All I want in my life, I just want me freedom, freedom. For just words I want for you. I just want me freedom, freedom. For say words I want for say. I just want me freedom. Oh, I need my space. I just want me freedom. From the one with the head. I just want me freedom. You gotta make me the big. I just want me freedom, 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 freedom. For the words I want for you. I just want me freedom, freedom, freedom. For the words I want for say. I just want me freedom. Oh, I need my space. I just want me freedom. From the one with the head. I just want me freedom. You gotta make me the big. I just want me freedom. Everything, every general must see a doctor or me. I give them me injection. Everything I do, they turn back for me. I come with LA, they set school for me. All I need now, freedom for build me own kingdom. Pray to me, God, make it shower me with wisdom for make hard beats. Guide me artist, this is no network. Volume 1, no this.
Say where the youths man up at the Sena LA. Where they take net truth, you don't Sena LA. Where I change salon music, they not Sena LA. Where I make red cell, they not Sena LA.
See, I can wonder every day why people like talk. Why not go try for the grow up? You just see me every day, why they double up. Why not go do this in my left talk? Say what if you see me down, be on a face me up. And also for the talk for me, things when you not know. I just want me freedom, freedom. For just words I want for you. I just want me freedom, freedom. For say words I want for say. I just want me freedom. Oh, I need my space.
All right, that is song titled Freedom, done by LAJ. Unfortunately, we have to apologize. We cannot continue with the dad. He's too emotional to continue the conversation, so we have to let him go and relax and see if he would then be given access to see his son. So that's where we are, but I still have with me here Lawyer Rashid Umbuya and Lawyer Augustine, so recently Mara, to continue the conversation. And unfortunately, the messages are so many that I cannot even take one thought of those messages in tonight's program. But just quickly, with the state the father is in at the moment, and with what is going on, what would you prescribe as the path to be taken at this point?
Yeah, Samuel, I think before we have a conversation on the way forward, I think it's critical for us to be very clear on this particular holding center, because many people have said a lot of things about the inhumane conditions there at Benghazi. And I think it's, as a democracy, we should be moving forward. We should not have reminders of some of these things that sparks, civil conflicts. Because I mean, the state of the police was one of the significant causes of the civil conflicts. Because people, when they come to that point of losing trust in the police, they resort to something else. Yeah. And I think that most of these the institutions that we have, the Human Rights Commission, the National Commission for Democracy, etc., all these independent police complaints, all these institutions, they exist to ensure that the police does its work within the contours of the law. Right? Because that's what I said to someone, that the police is not above the law. What the police does is to ensure that they implement the laws of this country. They are not above the law. So their conduct, their practices, procedures, everything should conform with the law. They should not be in excess of the law. And that is what we're saying. And I think that we should as a matter of urgency, the police council must meet to ensure that they look at these standard operating procedures and ensure that these procedures, they conform with the law. I know that they have lawyers now, several lawyers within the police force. They can speak with the Human Rights Commission, for example, to ensure, because all these guidelines exist, all these provisions, they exist within, because we cannot have a situation where people are arrested, they are denied legal representation, they are denied visit by their family. We must not have such conditions in a democracy. And I think Benghazi, with all the notoriety that surrounds Benghazi, we must ensure that we end Benghazi. We witnessed the End SARS movement in Nigeria when initially the SARS was set up to ensure that they respond to growing crime, etc., etc. But once you arrogate to yourself so much powers, you tend to abuse them. So yes, we know that Benghazi, you know, whatever it is that they exist for, it's for the general good. But again, the stories that we have had lately are chilling. So we must ensure that Benghazi, as a unit of the police, is investigated. If it turns out that their procedures, their practices, the manner in which they treat suspects, etc., fall foul of the law, we must ensure that we have a thorough investigation. We cannot continue with Benghazi in this fashion, because today it will be LAJ and his brothers and few other people who have been rounded up and, you know, being held in those very, very inhumane conditions. Tomorrow it might be somebody else. And this is what I said to politicians, that if you do not ensure that you reform the police, the very same police will be used against you tomorrow. Right? I know that the police force is part of the executive arm of government, and we know that the vice president sits as head of the police council. We must ensure that there is an investigation, immediate investigation. We must ensure that the father does have access to his son, the lawyers do have access to their clients in Benghazi, and the police must come out, not just with a press release. In civilized democracies across the world, they would promptly convene a press conference, have journalists who would ask questions. That's where we know that he's been humanely treated, because now we can conjecture all day that, oh, maybe the food is not even proper, the conditions are not proper, etc., etc. Because if you've shaved off his hair, there are a number of things that you could do improperly.
Already one of the things out is that he's in critical condition, which is why they've not taken him to court, which is, they said, he's been admitted at the 34 military. So all of these things are out there.
Yes, but why is that? That's the point I'm saying, that we must have a police that we can trust.
Right.
We know as humans, I mean, everywhere in the world, even in the great United States of America, there are instances when the police would transgress the law.
Right.
They would come out very honest to the people, you know, of Sierra Leone and say, we note that certain things have gone wrong. We are conducting an investigation, and we will ensure that whoever was the perpetrator of those acts will be brought to book. We can be comforted because we know. But once you begin to tell stories to the people of Sierra Leone, when we know that something completely different is happening, then there's going to be a decline in trust. And I think that the reforms where we have not really as a country enjoyed all these trainings there by UNDP, all these supports that the police has received over the years. We have not enjoyed those impacts, if there is any. So what we're seeing is a retrogression of the police force. We should be, time and time again, we have had many instances in which they have manhandled lawyers. right? We have instances in which they, in a manner in which they have reacted to whether it's protest or some demonstration, some peaceful demonstration, etc., etc. So we have a number of things that, obviously when they sum up, they give us an impression that we have not seen significant growth in the police force. And I think that is very, very worrying as a democracy, because the police force should act as a protector, of lives and property. And there should be always a significant trust in the police force. And I think all these that are happening would tend to give us, the continuing losing trust in the Sierra Leone police, right? Because we cannot sit here and talk about Benghazi, about someone being held for 10 days without being, his lawyers having access to him, without his family having access to him. I mean, even if he is currently in critical condition, have the family access him. They could have a number of other measures that could be taken into that could be explored, because the danger is, if anything unfavorable were to happen to him. I mean, the old man was here and he said that he's a very popular artist. He's got a very great following across the country, beyond the country. We do not want a situation where the police's job in securing lives and property would be made a little difficult. Because once things go out of hand, it means that then it's not only LAJ now, but also to ensure that you quell whatever demonstration by young people who are excited for their artist who's been held in very, very unkind conditions. And I think that, again, the fact of the matter is, it's 10 days, it's a pretty long time for the executive arm of government, the Minister of Internal Affairs, the Vice President of the Republic. Let's leave out the President, because I mean, all of these people have been given specific responsibilities to ensure that we have internal peace and quiet. And this situation could significantly undermine the peace and quiet of the capital city. Right? So I think it behoves the leadership of the police, behoves the council to act and to act right. Later, we will talk about the reforms. We'll talk about those things that need to be done urgently to ensure, because mind you, next year is elections here. If you don't have a competent police force that cannot respond to whether it's a situation, etc., if we don't have a competent police force, they could escalate even a tiny issue, because that is what we have seen. A very tiny issue sometimes. I mean, if you think that something improper has been done, come out, be very honest to the people of Sierra Leone. We note that his LAJ's hair has been shaved off, which we think it's improper. We are conducting an immediate investigation. The father will be comforted. Human rights lawyers would be comforted by the fact that there's an investigation and those perpetrators brought to the book. But this issue of covering up, this issue of concealing, it's terrible. It's terrible, and things might quickly escalate into something.
Question. Should we, as Sierra Leoneans, encourage the use of Benghazi? Just the word itself, especially when it connotes terrorism, when it connotes, you go back to Libya, where you look at all of those things. Should it be encouraged?
No, yesterday I think I tweeted and I posted on Facebook about End Benghazi, and I'm very happy to work with my learned friend Dumbuya on that issue to ensure that it's not only LAJ now. We have to dismantle Benghazi. People have to go to police station. They must be treated right. They are suspects. They must be treated right. We're not saying give them a cup of tea, but they they must be treated right. They must have access to their lawyers. Their families must visit them because they are not even being prosecuted.
Right.
They have not been convicted, for goodness sake. So we cannot have Benghazi around. We cannot. This is a democracy. We should be aware of every syllable of the standard operating procedures. They must conform to the law. Whichever clause that runs contrary to the law, international principles and guidelines, they must be struck out immediately. We cannot have a democracy with Benghazi in form. That Benghazi must be dismantled. You know, remember when President Bio came into office, and then there was this special unit at State House, you know. Part of their work was to ensure that they go after those in the previous regime, etc., etc. And they were doing their activities without any regard to the law. So I think I was one of few people who posted against that special unit, and it was dismantled, dissolved almost immediately. So I think that we've had a precedent from the first gentleman of the Republic, and we would kindly urge the presidency, the vice president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the minister of internal affairs to ensure that Benghazi is thoroughly investigated and dismantled. We have enough police stations where people are treated right, where they would have rights to their lawyers, to their families, where they investigate, they solicit legal advice from law officers. If the investigations prove that person must be prosecuted, let them be sent to court, and they can be defended during prosecution. We must not have Benghazi, in short. And I'm happy to work with whoever is interested to ensure that we do not continue to have Benghazi.
All right, Rashid, let me hear from you quickly.
I think he said most of the things. We will definitely work together on this and counsel, and then and maybe even work with the lawyers currently for LAJ. Let's try something with the courts, because you see, in all of this again, it's as if we are leaving the courts behind. Now, let me go on quickly to a case law. So the European Court on Human Rights have also, had a jurisprudence on this one. The case of Yankov versus Bulgaria. So similar facts. Now, so they had this inmate, and then they forcibly shaved his hair, and the case came before the European Court of Human Rights. And then look at what the court said in their judgment. It says, the forced shaving off of detainees' hair is in principle an act which may have the effect of diminishing their human dignity or may arouse in them feelings of inferiority capable of humiliating and debasing them. So the court said further that the shaving off of the applicant here in the context of his punishment by confinement in a cell constituted an unjustified treatment of sufficient severity to be characterized as degrading within the meaning of Article 3 of the Convention. All right, so there's a case law, even in the European Court of Human Rights, clearly saying you don't forcefully shave people when they are suspect or when they are detained. All right, so this is one. So again, it invites us to come to the courts. We have to go to the courts, and then the courts know that this SOP is in violation of the Constitution. And of course, it opens room for torture, which of course is an ignominious, and then we don't want that to be, because again, it's a danger for Sierra Leone. The other day I was saying, if we invite the UN to come, this is a big case. They will nail us seriously, because torture is something that the world is crying against. There's a whole convention on it. It will sink down. So there are so many things that will happen. So we must test the court. Then, of course, in the interim, we can also call on the Human Rights Commission. I believe that is shown so much, to look at the human rights aspects, the human rights, perhaps violations that have occurred in that place, to do a public inquiry. All right? Then, whilst the IPCB will be looking at the behavior of security officers, all right, in that Benghazi, all right, and what they've been doing that is not in tandem with their frameworks. So it's a parallel, inquiry and investigation we will be launching. And then we will now go to the court as well to strike down Benghazi's operation and the SOP accompanying that structure. Because like you already said, there's a police and there's the CID. So at the very least, if the crime is so serious that you believe the police cell cannot handle it, or the police station, go to CID. That's where we know people are kept and when they are detained and, you know, before being tried. And CID is accessible. We go there all the time. There is the head of CID there who is open to us. He's a lawyer. He's open to us. So I don't understand what is happening here. I'm sure many people in the police, I'm telling you, like Senior, are not happy too with this issue. I know there's a division among the forces. This is an OSD versus a police structure. All right, there's a whole tension going on between the two, institutions. So I'm sure this will be welcomed by many police officers regarding we trying the court to see what the court will say. And I hope the judiciary will assign this case speedily. Because again, we have a problem of assigning cases that are of public interest. So Lion Senior will be meeting this week, and please let's do something about this. This is our country. We have to do something to make this country a better place. Now, you talk about peace, eh? The peace, what's happening now? Yes. The report is out. The World Peace Index.
Right.
Guess what? We dropped 4 places as against last year's report. It's all signal that the peace is being undermined. All of these tensions are undermining our peace. If they get us now again, this will have dropped us again because people are tense. The environment is tense. You and I know we can sense, we can see how people are disgruntled over some of these issues. And it will just require a spark for things to go bizarre. That's why we are calling. Remember the TRC, I was telling my colleagues yesterday, the TRC nailed the bar association, nailed lawyers for what we went through the 11 years of carnage and mayhem. That lawyers kept quiet. They never goes up to speak for the people. So I told my colleagues that it will not be mentioned again in other TRC that lawyers failed. No, we will speak out. We will be the brave hearts. Don't worry, nothing will happen with us. If they are planning their plans, God who sees our heart will fight for us. That's our belief, because we are doing it in good faith. It's not politics. If APC were in power, we'll fight them again if they do this kind of things. That's the goal. I was saying my colleagues, politics is not here. If anybody deprives person to see a lawyer, have a lawyer, that is an issue of common interest. APC, NGC, SNP we must fight them because they want to put us down. A lawyer should not be deprived of his client at the very least. It's a common interest council that we all should rise up and call on this government not to do that. No matter the crime he has committed, the very basic tenets of democracy is he must be legally represented. Then the democracy works.
I think that we should definitely use this situation to push for more police reforms.
Yes.
Because some of these things, when they happen, they give us an opportunity to probe deeply into all the structures of the police and to ensure that there are more reforms. Because clearly, it seems that all these trainings, all these activities have not yielded much dividend. So we must ensure that we use this situation to not only look at Benghazi, to look at standard operating procedures in other police stations.
Yes.
Because I know, for example, the law says you can, for non-economic crimes, you can be held for 3 days, economic crimes, capital offenses, etc., for 10 days. But it does not mean, I have always said to my police friends, that it does not mean that you must exhaust. So because what they do, detention, and this is the characteristic conduct of the police, they use detention to ensure that they break the spirit of the suspect. And they treat suspects as if they have been convicted.
Yes.
I said, this is wrong. Yes. Detention should be the last resort. Should be the last resort. You might detain someone even for their own good, right? But a man who has come forward, who was shorties, they said, well, we're investigating one. And I've always pointed out that even Oscar Pistorius in South Africa, who was being investigated for murder, was granted bail. I said for murder was granted bail. You go to some of these police stations for simple things like ordinary civil transactions, right? Appear money, pay me back money, etc., etc. You will tell these guys that this is a purely civil. You don't have the manpower. Why do you want to overburden yourself with many other matters that are purely civil? Tell this person to go solicit the services of a lawyer and take the other person to court. but they would detain 3 days, 10 days, right? And that's wrong. Detention should be the last resort. And then we will always speak about this, right? So for example, I've mentioned this a long time about, I am not a fan or friend of Kamaremba, for example. But all of these things, the other day we witnessed that Prince Adin was being investigated for murder. He was given bail, right? So these are all similar offenses, similar felonious offenses. But one was given bail, the other person is not given bail. We can't have an unfair society. We can't. We can't.
Yes.
And some of us lawyers who understand the law, who live and breathe the law, must say this, without diluting it.
Yes.
To say that we can't have one set of laws for the well-behaved, and we have one set of laws for those who are not so well-behaved. And that's what I tweeted, that human rights is for everyone.
Of course.
Whether you are well-behaved or
Universal.
not, it's universal.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, right? If you don't like LAJ, if you don't like Kamaremba, if you don't like, they are not I'm not a fan of LAJ. I'm proudly Emerson is my artist. But I tell you what, these fundamental tenets, they apply to everyone,
Yes.
regardless of who you are.
Yes. And that's the message we want to send going forward. All right?
All right. I will come to you.
Yes.
We have to let Lawyer Soyiseme Mara go. And let's quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll take some messages and allow you to respond, and then we wrap up. Just after this break, thank you very much, Lawyer Mara, for your time. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Back. Let me run through a few messages on Facebook. We have so honestly irresponsible statements from these guys in that vehicle were unfortunate and unacceptable situation, and it's a threat to the total peace that every Sierra Leonean is enjoying in this country. And the day of impunity has gone under this new dispensation, and nobody is above the law in Sierra Leone. Okay, so I'm not even going to mention the name of the tribe, but that's messages from Amaya Alpha. LAJ, okay, Biki Kalon, we're not going to that. Massive Sima is saying 4 years under the SLPP regime, electricity, that's not what we're discussing here. No politics, please. We want messages in line with what we are discussing, please. This is no time for political statements. Ronald Johnston is saying, where the judiciary and what is their response on the matter as one of the three wings of government? Where are the human rights institutions and civil society groups and our law society? Those responsible for this act must face the law, as we live in a democracy, not a dictatorship. It's about time Sierra Leoneans speak out, or many more of your human rights are going to be trampled on. This is unbelievable in the 21st century Sierra Leone. Lawrence Bangura is saying the situation in Benghazi is particularly unstable and volatile. Attacks against foreign interests and foreigners occur regularly. Be extremely vigilant and aware of your surroundings at all times in public places. How can you name a police headquarters such a name? Benghazi. And the president has been flying. Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll just take messages that speak exclusively to Abu Kabo is saying, I meant to say the must demand the unconditional, the Fula community must demand the unconditional release of their child, otherwise they should close their shops. Interesting. It's only in Sierra Leone we have no free movement of doing things. Maria Tudumbuya Conte is saying that Ibrahim Felix Kamara is saying the police with these SOPs and orders from above is practically illegal. How can you shave a suspect's heir without his consent and against his fundamental human rights? This is worrisome. Sierra Leone is like Animal Farm. What a shame. Jobi Bangali Jr. is saying the whole police force need a total transformation from top to bottom, like Pakaba did to the army. Kitsbidul needs to come back again and restructure the police force. This is what we get as a nation if we give power to okay, no, that's not what we're discussing, please. If he is committed an offense, then he must be cautioned by the laws of the land. But shaving his head off his dreadlocks is not the right of the police or any correctional institution. The family must use all legal means in holding the police accountable. Ronald Georgestone. I'm going to take at most 5 more messages, guys. Please, you would have to forgive me. Caesar Cummings to say, good evening, AYV. Why LAJ all the time? We have a lot of musicians, but their names are not on wrongdoing all the time. Here are some findings of LAJ, okay? That is for the court. We're not discussing whether or not LAJ committed a crime or whether or not LAJ should be arrested. We're only discussing his human rights, his rights as a suspect. Ambassador Fude Sam Ansumana is saying, I strongly believe that when it comes to issues with LAJ, it is something having to do with a Sierra Leonean who was trespassed, which led to his arrest, and I candidly believe that every citizen is obliged to maintain law and order. So people should stop politicizing it, because this is not the first time we have had about LAJ malhandling people. Take, for example, the case at Adonkia when he destroyed a citizen's vehicle with screen. I don't know for his dreadlocks because I'm not a legal practitioner, but for his actions, I think we have had enough of his nuisance at nightclubs, on the streets, hotels, to name but a few. Please, the YV and Samuel, as on behalf of the public, we're demanding your technical team to share Zoom. I'm afraid, I'm sorry, that is something we cannot do, especially on this issue, because we already know how tensions are across. So we have an obligation to preach and promote peace. And please, all of you disgruntled guys, be calm. Let us allow the law and let us allow the activists to ensure that, they do what is necessary. Amaralfa says, Wise, can you please tell us how many artists or musicians we have in this country? Because as a musician or artist, you should be acting like a role model and be like a peace ambassador, and not always creating problems for the peaceful citizen as if you are politicians. And their statement must be withdrawn because it's a threat to security. Baba, just know the country is with you. We are all crying with you, and these tears we shed will not go in vain, no matter how long. Abdul Ekabo is saying, 2 more messages to go. It cost Blacker 7 lawyers to free him from this government, so I wonder how many will cost sober people. I pray for safety. Jalo M. Julde is saying, until Sierra Leoneans land, the only law is supreme, and we have to go by every letter within the confines of the law. We are doomed forever. It is no surprise for me because the current Anti-Corruption Commissioner displayed teachers publicly with placards. And final message I would say is saying, the police or law enforcement cannot use force or brutality in thinking they can silence the right of freedom of expression. It's even disrespectful that no member of the police aren't in the studio to respond to the young man's health or condition. This tells you that our law enforcement aren't there to protect life and properties, but to brutalize its citizens. What is happening in our police? Unfortunately, guys, I have to hold the messages there and allow Lawyer Rashid to just quickly respond. And then we say goodbye for tonight.
There are so many messages.
Right.
But let me try to respond to 1 or 2 now. So somebody is talking about the alleged use of tribal rhetorics,
yes,
and abusive language in the Jeep. I've also seen the video clip of that. So the issue here is not about what they said and what they did not say.
Exactly.
In fact, if that is the case, then there is all reason for the police to arrest them. Nobody is saying the police should not. So if it's proven that they made tribal rhetorics, they made morally invectives, they were riotous, or they breach public peace, that is a case for the police to arrest, charge, and prosecute them in court. That is fine. Now, so what we are not happy about and what is not correct is when they have arrested them to torture them. That is the issue here. So there's a case for the police to charge them on these tribal rhetorics or breach of public order offenses. That is fine. That is well within the competence of the police. Yeah. So let's don't get the issue mixed up. It's when you have now arrested them, you don't have the right to torture them or subject them to inhumane and degrading treatment, or not enhance or ensure fair trial rights. For example, access to a lawyer, access to a family member. That's what we are saying. That is not correct. Also, somebody said, where are the CSOs? Well, I'm a CSO, so please get it correct. A few of us are speaking out, and we have been speaking out. So stop talking about where are the CSOs. Some of them are speaking out, and then find those who are not speaking out and talk to them. But we are speaking out. Then also, if it's only LAJ, that is the issue. All people asking. Now, anybody who that is done to, should count on me. I will speak out on that. Right. All right. So it's not about just LAJ. The police should not do it to anybody. All right. You don't subject people to inhumane and degrading treatment. Then somebody also talk about also. I'm a fan of. Now, I'm not a fan of LAJ. Like you are not a fan of LAJ. We don't need to be fans of LAJ. Right. Me, I don't even. I'm a Christian. I don't even listen to some of these musics. To me, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. But I will be proud to defend his right to fair trial, even though I'm not his fan. As a human rights lawyer, I am bound to do that. That's why you saw us come also and defend Blacker, because we believe mental health patients should not be treated that way. All right, we should have a humane approach to those people because of their mental health condition. That's why we defend Blacker. I don't know Blacker. I'm not even with him, but today we thank God it's getting better.